Hey, welcome to Deer Time today, everybody. We are doing our little tribute to Devo. Whip it good.
Wipe it good.
But we're not going to whip it good, we're going to wipe it good. Today we're going to talk about wiping down your sensor and wiping down your lenses. And this thing is getting really hot now.
It is.
So take that.
We're going to cover this at the end.
So we'll talk about these later in the show and what these are and what they can do for you in your photography.
Okay, come over there.
All right. So today we're going to talk about sensor cleaning, lens cleaning. We're going to go through the whole process, right?
Right, the whole process.
Okay.
I think what we'll do is we'll cover lenses first real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to sensors, and we'll move on from the most simple sensor cleaning, if you know, to the more complex and the real serious. I've got a booger on my sensor kind of level.
Yeah, don't sneeze on your
don't
camera when it's open. Lenses being the easier way to go, and this one's, look, this one's got some dust on the front.
Oh yeah, grease
and the
dust.
back element's got some little flecks and some other stuff. So this is a good candidate to clean.
Okay, the very first thing I'm going to tell you, and I've done this already right before we came in here, the first thing that you do when you're going to clean your camera or your sensor is clean your hands.
Ah.
Okay, so go soap and water, clean your hands really well.
Clean
it. The next thing that I think that's important is for you, like I actually will take, and I'll take some of the isopropyl alcohol, and I'll actually put it on my hands to cut the oil, the hand oil, down a little bit.
Okay.
So I do that. Ooh. Now the next thing that I do, and this is makes it so that there's a kind of an unnecessary step to do what we just did, is I like to wear a pair of gloves. And these gloves I actually got not with the intention of cleaning my sensors, but with the intention of printing. Oh. And so when I'm printing, I don't want to leave, same thing, you don't want to leave any fingerprints on everything. Okay. And so let's see if I got the right one. Okay, right, left, right. And so what you do is you wear these little, and they're almost disposable. You get them from China, you get a bazillion of them for really cheap.
Are these just like cotton gloves? What are these actually called?
Yeah, they're just little cotton gloves. Okay. I got big hands, so they hardly fit.
Oh, I've actually ripped out. Yeah, I've ripped out one of mine.
And it doesn't matter because we're going to throw them away. Okay. So, I mean, you can use them. You can use these cotton gloves for, they're disposable. Okay. You can use them after you have used them to clean your camera to still handle your prints for a while yet.
Yeah, because your camera's going to be pretty clean, right?
You know, you're more worried about the sensor than you are about getting a fingerprint on your print.
Right, right.
So I like to wear them. So I usually keep those, and I keep them in a bag so that they stay kind of,
Oh, my hands feel so manly and huge in this little.
I have some other ones that are a little bit better.
His are bigger. Yeah. Why do I feel like miming all of a sudden?
So now what we've got is we've got a dirty sensor.
Or a dirty lens.
A dirty lens.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Dirty.
You've seen these. These work great, but you've got to look at these as if they're disposable. Right?
The fine microfiber lens cloths, right?
Yeah, beautiful breakthrough photography one. You get them. You get them with everything, and I use them and I put them back in, and I try to remember where, like what surface I've used and what surface is clean still. Okay. Okay. And that works great. But the truth is that what I like to do, the very first thing you do, is you take and there is one place where canned air makes sense to clean your camera. It's not, I don't use canned air on anything on the inside of my camera.
You know why?
Because
it'll leave residue.
Leave residue, yeah. But on the outside, if you want to go ahead and just get you get down here around the dials and everything, and you can get the basic stuff off that way. The other thing that you can use is you use a brush. Yeah. And you can get an art brush, you can get a makeup brush. This one is a little...
I have one like that.
You got one?
Yeah.
And so you can just brush it off. But what I like to do, you take this and you brush the... This is just to get the big stuff off the lens.
Right.
Right? So this is only for the big stuff. You can take it, you can open it up, and I'll shake it out, and you can do the same thing on the inside. See, I mean, I can see some stuff right there. You can get it in there. I'm not going to put it in there because this one is really deep.
It's really
and I don't
deep,
think
yeah.
I need to clean that. So
Right.
for the outside of the lens, it's one thing where you can go ahead and do that. You can use, just like you do with anywhere else, use your rocket blower, blow it off good, especially blow the inside off good.
Yeah. So one thing to remember is hang your lens upside down so the dust falls down instead of back into your lens. So that's a good little tip, is to, if you're cleaning the front element, face it down, back element, face it down. That way stuff falls out. Same with the inside of your camera as well.
Yeah, and then when you're setting your camera down without a cap on it,
Better to face down. Yeah.
face down is better. The next thing that I do is I take some isopropyl alcohol, and we take this and clean around the edges of the lens. See, around the edges of the lens like that. Now, notice that this is leaving a little bit of a red, like film on there. A 70% is even worse.
Yeah, that's what we recommend. You guys,
This is the
91%.
91%.
Yeah.
Okay, and because when that dries out, that's still going to leave a little residue. It leaves a lot less when you are using this, the 91% than the 71%. The other thing that I do is, once I've used a swab on the lens itself, and now I would consider that it's dirty, but it's not that dirty. The other place I like to clean is right here. And I like to clean this on the mount, and I like to clean it on the lens itself. And you look at this, and they generally have a little bit of machine oil, and you can see that right there. And I never put any back on. I know some people think that that's a good idea, but I think that just comes from rubbing metal to metal.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's exactly what that is.
So I think that it's dirty, so I clean it. So now we've got this back here. We've blown it off. We've brushed it off a little bit, so you can take that and you can brush that. All we're doing is we're knocking the major stuff off. Then I take a flashlight or a pen. I use a pen flashlight, and I look at it really carefully to see, and you can still see that dust on there? So this is the best thing that I have found to use when cleaning these. And I've used like distilled water and lots of Q-tips, and that works. But I like these, and the reason that I like these little cleaning wipes from Zeiss is, number one, they're specifically designed as cleaning wipes. And the very first time I ever used these, I was a little frustrated because I'm like, geez, they're not hardly wet at all.
Right.
You noticed that?
Right.
Well, I like that they're not hardly wet at all. That's the whole point.
And so they don't leave a bunch of residue,
Is
right?
that they don't leave the residue. And I keep wiping and wiping and wiping until the thing dries out. Okay, so the first part, we'll go ahead and it's going to get the you can see it's leaving some from these gloves on here. Okay. So I fold it and then fold it. Actually, these gloves are not helping us in here. They won't leave grease on there, but they're leaving a little lint on there.
Well, that might be from the wipe itself.
No, the wipe itself, the thing that's beautiful about the wipe itself is that it's designed not to leave any lint.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm wondering if it's coming from is there any felt lining on this one?
No, what it is it's pulling a little bit of lint off the edge of that glove because there's a little bit of friction that's going on. Okay, but we got it. Now, lenses have coatings, and the coatings are really important that we don't bugger up those coatings.
Right, because those are the things that reduce flare. They actually help with clarity and color in a lot of ways.
Yep, and it's the front coating, probably even more than the back coating, that's important to not bugger up. So we get the front, and if you look here, you can see where this is, you can see where it's evaporating, where the fluid evaporates off of there. And so, let's see, this one has some lint on it. I'm going to get another one.
Okay. Next one.
Yeah, and the one thing I don't like about using anything that is not disposable is that once it gets dirty, then you're in trouble because it is still, see, can you see that there? When I rub that across, you can see it evaporate out of the way. Well, the way you deal with that is you keep wiping until this dries out.
And then it'll absorb all the rest of the moisture. And then,
and then it smears it around and it's gone. So You just keep doing it. But see, that's the thing, is you just keep
really
wiping
fine, yeah.
until it, when you very first use it, it's a little juicier, and then it towards the end, see, at this point, it's not leaving anything.
Right, it's perfect.
I like these for cleaning lenses better than anything else because of this very reason. You can use, now I'm going to use the other side because this is, and we're going to
still some lint
like
on
this
there.
because we want to get that lint from the glove back off. Now I've seen some popular YouTuber guys go ahead, and I've seen them use their breath, which is not a good idea. Your breath it has spit in it, and that's where the see that, perfect. You see that?
Okay,
There's nothing there.
Okay.
This is perfect here. I'm gonna
Nice,
come around the outside.
good.
Lens.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Nice and clean. Let's cap it up.
Okay.
How much do I owe you?
$50.
Lenses are easy. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take these after I've used them to clean the things that are most sensitive. Then you go ahead and you clean the stuff that's like, well, I don't care. And so you clean the screen and get the grease off from here, because I don't care if there's a little bit of face residue that I'm reducing it with what's left from the wipe. And you can use it for things that are a little dirtier or grosser and not optical after you've done that. So that's how you clean a lens in your camera itself. Sensors are a little different, and I moved from Canon to Sony, and so I've cleaned both the Canon sensors and I've cleaned the Sony sensors. I would suggest that you keep your sensor clean because you don't want to ruin your pictures, but do as little cleaning as you can get away with and still keep your camera clean. And 2 weeks ago we covered the Arctic butterfly, and that is a fantastic little device, and that is one of the steps that is a little bit more invasive, but it's not super invasive. So the very first thing that I'd suggest that you do is, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and you hit the menu button and you find the sensor cleaning. This is a Canon 6D.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's pretty standard Canon
pretty
menu
standard
system.
Yeah. And so you hit sensor cleaning. We're going to take the cap off so we don't dump anything that it comes off. The very first thing I would do is actually, even before this, is I'd blow it off.
The front,
So there's your first step. Then what you do is you're going to take and you're going to put your lens on, and you're going to take a picture at about f/22, a very high aperture. You're going to take a picture of a wall or something that's white. We could take a picture of this right here. You're going to...
It doesn't matter where you are either, focus-wise, as long as it's at f/22, because it's going to focus all that light towards the sensor.
That's true. What I usually do is I focus on the wall manually at like f4. And then I know I'm in focus and the wall's in focus. But you don't have to be in focus. And then I switch it the other way to where it's at the f/22. I mean, if you get like this lens goes all the way up to oh geez, I don't know, way up there. I think it's like f30 or
32 or
something. But so you make it so that it has a very small aperture, because then it makes it so your depth of field is huge.
Yeah.
And then you take a picture of something with a little bit slower shutter speed, and I actually take the camera, and while that shutter's open, I move it back a little bit, because I don't really want anything to really be in focus from the wall. I don't want to see a spot on the wall. I want to see a spot on the sensor.
So when I cleaned my Canon camera a couple weeks ago, I noticed that when I cleaned it and wiped it, I could see the smears all the way across the sensor. So what I did, instead of because before when I first started cleaning, I would put the lens on, go outside, take a picture of the sky, come back in, and do the whole process. And once I realized that I had to do this multiple times, I said, oh, forget it. I'd put my notepad on my Mac, full screen, all white, right there on my screen, and that way I could take a quick picture, take it apart, do another white, put it back on, quick picture, and see where it was. And what I would do is I would take the picture, bring it into Lightroom, and bring my clarity way up, all the way up, and then dehaze, clarity dehaze all the way up, and then it showed like everything. I could see the smear lines, the little specks, everything. And then once I got to the point where after wiping it like 7 or 8 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it was really wet. It was like a really wet, and I swear I tried only like one little drop, and it was still like super wet.
That's the biggest problem with sensor cleaning, is people use too much fluid. And you got to be really careful. You're using something that's wet inside your camera.
Right.
One of the things, and I'm glad that you didn't give up and you kept going.
I kept going and going, and then I got to a really, really acceptable level where there's like tiny little specks, and I think my in-camera thing could clear that up. So
one of the problems that you have is that you will leave, like if you look at your sensor, if you, and I'm gonna turn my pen light on here. A lot of times you will leave right down the edge of the sensor. You're going to see these little droplets where the cleaning residue has evaporated on the edge.
And it'll pile up, particles will pile up there too.
And so that's a sign of using too much cleaning fluid. Now, another thing is the cleaning fluid that you use is really important as well. But and we'll get to that. But the very first thing that you do is you blow it out with your rocket blower.
Yep.
The second thing, my second suggestion that you do is take it and then you use the in-camera cleaning solution. And so what that does is right here, there's you've got a cleaning mode now.
Yeah,
so you go to clean sensor now and hit that.
So if you hear that sound, that is more aggressive than the automatic cleaning.
Yeah, if you have with the Canon,
the auto clean's enabled.
Yeah.
So when I turn it on and off, but it doesn't make that hard crunchy noise. That was a really aggressive clean.
Yep. And with these, because they have the mirrorless, what you do here is you hit the cleaning mode, and what it's going to do is it's going to shake it. And so it uses the little motors. You hear that? It uses little motors and it vibrates it to shake the stuff off. So obviously you don't want to do that with the sensor facing up, because if you're trying to get this stuff to shake off, you want it to fall out of the camera instead. So that's your second step. Your third step, and this is usually where I can stop, is I use the Arctic Butterfly, and we'll review this a little bit. We did a much more in-depth review of the Arctic Butterfly in our previous one. But what this does is you turn this on, and there are 3 different ones that Arctic Butterfly has. You turn this on, and what it does is it shakes the dust off, and it charges the brush. You see how the bristles are kind of holding themselves apart from each other? That means that they're statically charged. Okay. And then you come in here, and this one actually has its, but right there, you see that, and all you have to do is you come in here and you just swipe it across the sensor. Now, remember, your sensor is covered by you could damage it, but there is, I'm not touching the sensor, I'm touching this little super crazy thin piece of glass that's on top of the sensor right now. Right. And so, it'll take more than you think it will, but I wouldn't, still be very careful. And then you take it and you shake it off again right here, and try it again if you want. And you just bring that across right there, and you just come like that, and the brush itself will use static electricity to pull off anything. Now, if you look at this, let's look very carefully. I can't see a bit of dust on there. Can you?
Looks really clean.
And I almost am hesitant to do a wet clean on it because I don't think it needs it, but we'll do it just to demonstrate it. What you do now is you do another shot at f/22 of the wall or something that's white. I usually like to bring that into Lightroom then, and then you use the de-speckle or there's a de-dust little tool that you can use up at the top. When you select that tool, I think it's the third one over.
It's the spot tool.
The spot tool.
You're inside there, they have the dust or something.
Yeah, the de-dust is down at the bottom of the frame in the spot tool. And you turn that on and it'll show you exactly where any pieces of dust are. And then you can go back and you can find that piece because it corresponds obviously to where that is on your sensor. And so you can look at it and say, oh yeah, I still see that little pesky piece. Now some people are using this type of tool right here. And you can see this one, where what this is this has a kind of a little bit of a sticky pad.
Oh, okay.
Now, this one is from a company that's called Sensor Clear.
Okay.
And this one came with this brush. You see that right there? And it has this little thing to keep this sealed and clean, but it has this little pad, and you can actually take that and touch it on
pull
there.
It right off.
And usually you can pull off a little
stubborn piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one way to do it very quickly in the field if you want to. I don't like it because I don't think it does as good a job, but it works. A lot of people swear by it. There is another company that makes one that they're made out of almost like a little piece of silicone, and they have they're a little tacky.
Yeah, and you stick.
But I've seen people where they get them dirty and then they leave almost like little footprints with that thing too. And I don't like that.
That's not good. Yeah.
So the next step after you've done the Arctic butterfly is now you get to the point where it's like time to do a wet clean, right? Now, one of the things, and I saw Tony Northrup has a cleaning video that he's done, and one of the problems here is that he went in and he's like, oh, see, when you wipe this with the cleaning swab, and we'll open the cleaning swabs up in a second, you can feel the sensor moving around. You're not supposed to do that. With the mirrorless cameras, you don't want the sensor moving around. And so what you do is you do the cleaning mode first, you hit enter, it shakes it, and then it locks the sensor.
Oh.
Okay, so the sensor is no longer moving around. Okay, so we're going to set this to the side
So
here.
this is so fine it doesn't matter. This is so fine and gentle it doesn't matter.
It's not.
But if you're hand
pressure
putting pressure on it, you do not want your sensor to move.
You don't want
that is good to know.
Now with these, this has a sensor cleaning mode too. And we're gonna, why don't we do that?
So we're going to go to let's go back here.
So what this does is this is not locking the
Down.
the in-body image stabilization motors up. It locks the mirror up because the mirror protects the sensor in here. Okay, so
now mirrors up. You can see sensor back there.
Okay,
so this is the only disadvantage of this particular type of camera is the sensor's so far back.
Yeah.
It has a lot more protection, but now when you're cleaning it, you got to reach really deep in there.
Yes, you do. And what they suggest, this sensor cleaning kit, and I've used most of the swabs. I've got 2 left here. So
full frame.
So this is a VSGO. They make a full frame, they make a crop sensor, and they make a micro 4/3 size swab. And when I mean size swab, what I mean is that when we open this up, now this kit from VSGO comes with some sensor cleaning fluid. You don't use alcohol, don't use distilled water, don't use anything like that. And there's these kinds too, but these are great. And I use this with one of these that's clean, right? To clean the lens itself.
Right.
And this is great because you can see this says safe for all coated lenses. Now I like the disposable one because I like to throw the thing away after I'm done. This is another one. This is lens, glass, and screen cleaner. This is great for the exterior of the camera. I would never use that on the inside, and I would never use alcohol on the inside. Now, one of the other mistakes that I've made, this is the stuff. This is the best stuff. It's called Eclipse. Okay. Now, when I store my bottle of Eclipse, I store it, and you can see it says contains methanol. It's flammable. So it's using methanol as the alcohol base that's in there. It has some other things in there. I store my bottle sideways. And the reason that you do that is because then it makes it so that there is no way for the fluid to absorb moisture or anything from the air from the top of the if you're storing it this way, it can come in here. I mean, you've got this, and hopefully the lid will hold this in here. But I just think that it's smarter to store it sideways. After a few years, you want to get a new bottle of this stuff anyhow because it will have absorbed moisture and water from the air. Alcohol will do that.
Okay.
So what we do is, and this is really important, that you do not use too much. Okay. I literally will use 1 or 2 drops. Why don't we turn that light on?
Okay.
Yeah. Why don't we turn the light on? But see, what we're going to do is you can see like one drop, 2 drops. Okay. And that's about it. So you could, I don't know if you can see that, but I can see that this swab has absorbed that. Now, in Utah, it's really dry here.
Right.
And this will go ahead and it will evaporate fairly quickly. But what you're going to do in here, and they suggest that you use 3 different swabs to clean. You use a dry one, then you use a wet one, then you use another dry one. I think that's ridiculous. So what we're going to do is you can see how this is exactly the same size as the sensor.
It's right inside the side.
So what you do is you come and you just go like this and you touch one side down there. It's so deep in there.
Yeah.
And you come all the way over to that side.
Okay.
That's it. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to touch it on that side and bring it back over here. That's it.
Okay.
Now, the next thing that you do is carefully set this aside. I will sometimes, and it depends on how dirty it is, but if it's really dirty, and then I won't ever use that. I might use that in 2 seconds when we do the test and see if we got all of the goobers off and the dust off. And if we did, then we're done. If not, sometimes I'll use it again. Sometimes I'll just use a new one. Okay? And so now what we do is you turn it off and on, put the lens back on, and shoot the thing at f/22. We take a picture of the wall, and that's it. Now I'm going to do the same thing right here, except remember this one, okay?
My gloves aren't giving me grip. Okay.
Okay, f/22. And you got to turn it to an exposure where you can take a reasonable long picture of the wall there.
I don't have a memory card in this one.
Okay.
Let's just assume that it's good to go.
This one, what we're going to do is I'm going to look at it. I don't know if I'm going to look at this really carefully to get the loop. So a Lumi loop is very nice in this situation. So you can take and you can actually look at this, and I can see. Let me see. You see that right there?
Oh yeah, there's a speck on there, a couple specks.
Right there, there's one. Right there, there's one. Maybe I could use a cleaning. Let's see. Let's see if we can get it off with this first. I mean, we did
those
it
specks
already.
look like they came on just recently.
Yeah, it might have just fallen in while we've been doing this.
Yeah.
So we'll hold this over here.
I can see some specks floating in the air right now, so let's see if we can get those cleaned off. It looks. It's like, hold your breath.
I see one right there.
Hold your breath.
You see that one?
He's cleaning his sensor. Nobody's. Shut up.
I can still see one on there, but I think that's just a piece of dust that I can get off.
Let's see. Is it still there now?
Oh, what? It's gone.
Oh, you got it.
So this is enough, I think, with this.
Yeah.
Now, if you need a wet clean, you need a wet clean.
Yeah.
And you do it, but I don't think I need one here. But you do the same thing. You take should we just do it? We're doing it on video for people to see us. So demonstrate this. Maybe go ahead and do it anyhow.
I think we should really dirty it up first.
Why don't we just get a cookie?
Eat it over it. Crumbles in pieces.
Okay, so same thing.
To the max. Can you push that up further? You guys are on the very edge of the screen.
Yeah, sure.
In the screen.
Okay. So what we're going to do again is we're going to see. Did you see that? There's one.
Okay.
You see that right there?
Yep. I can see it with my eyes. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can see it slowly.
Hold that light further back.
Because I mean, I don't care. I don't even want the whole swab covered. I've done this before where you get so much on here that the problem is once you've got that much on there, then you leave that
the streak.
The streak on.
I had streaks on mine, and then I had at the ends. I had them all bunched up, and I had to do it a few times with a similar sized swab that I had, a full frame swab. But I was lucky; I was able to pick up a kit locally for a pretty good price. And
well, see, the other thing that you do is sometimes you'll even leave like a line of the dots from the fluid evaporating along the edge of the sensor right there. That's literally usually enough. Then you shoot it. I put this back in here. I know where it is. And considering how clean this is, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be okay here.
Yeah.
But then we take this. I'm going to turn it on and off again. I'm going to cycle this up. I'm going to take and I'm going to set this to f/22. It's up here.
Okay.
I've got the ISO down at 125. Now I'm going to take a picture of the wall or of this. Make sure that I can take it. It's 2 seconds. So I'm going to move it. Then I'm going to look at this. That's interesting because it has a little too much shadow. I'm going to take one over here.
Yeah.
There we go. And I can zoom in here.
Further up, further up.
Yep.
And zoom in, and we can look around on there. I don't think I'm seeing.
Looks pretty good.
Obviously, it's a little easier just to do it the other way, but sometimes in the field, what you do is you zoom in. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a grid thing where we're looking at each section of the sensor to see if we got any spots that we can see. I don't think so. I mean, I think it's perfectly. Honestly, I think the sensor was completely clean before we.
Yeah, I think we introduced some more specs to it as we were.
Yeah, right.
playing around
because
with it
you leave it open.
Yeah.
So that's the way. That's the way I do a sensor cleaning. Usually, you know, start with the least invasive, move to more invasive as you move forward and through it.
And don't use this for the inside. I
never use that.
I
for
tried that
inside.
the first time I cleaned my sensor, and I realized, oh no, this thing spits residue.
Yeah, it
so
does.
do not do this. Don't ever do that. This is better. It's not as powerful and strong, but it's better.
Yep.
And apparently that is my timer going off. Okay, so yeah, to recap, don't ever use this.
Don't blow on it. None of
on
this.
the outside.
I wouldn't even with your lenses. I wouldn't even do this. I mean, this is an emergency, but if you breathe on it and you're going, that's one thing. Especially don't go. Don't blow on it. You'll blow pieces of spit on your lens or on your sensor, and your spit is acidic. It's not good for it. Get something like this if you're going to do this. If you're going to use one of these, don't spray it on your lens. Spray it on the cloth and then wipe your lens with it. Make sure that the lens, make sure that the cloth is clean. So you know, I'll take one of these and I start and I use this piece right here, then I use the next piece, then I'll use the next one and the next one. When I get done with these, if they're not in a package like this, they're dirty, and I'll use them when we're out at Thor's Well to wipe the exterior of the camera off a little bit, but I'm not going to use them to actually clean any of the optics.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. That was pretty thorough. If you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those in the comment section below the video. I guess really quickly, we're
going to show you this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with sensor cleaning.
Nope, this is an extra bonus.
This is a hat.
Today.
And if you want to be like Devo, then you wear this on your head.
That's put this back on, don't we?
That's a good idea. That's what we're doing. Actually, what this is this is a Kickstarter that it just showed up. And I like Kickstarters. They're kind of fun. So my wife and I really like going on these tours, and inevitably I'm 47 and we're the oldest. I mean, we're the youngest people on these bus tours that we're going on. And a lot of times, one thing is they're cheap and you get to see a lot of country really fast. We've gone to Thailand, we've done Central Europe, we've done Scotland and Ireland, usually 15 to 18 days with any of these tour groups.
Okay.
And it's a blast to go with Gate 1 Travel. And you know, they're pretty patient with me trying to get my pictures and stuff. And then usually when I come home, then I put all the travel pictures up, and everybody who went with us borrows all my pictures. The thing that's beautiful about this is what this is for, and you can put it on this way. Actually, I think that's probably going. Let's do this. So what you do is you pull your lens through it like this, and these are called, right here, they actually have it's called the Ultimate Lens Hood. And that is an Ultimate Lens Hood. You can buy these things now. They're about $25 a piece. But what you do is you take this now, and when you're shooting out a window at of a bus, or how about an airplane trying to get Milky Way, or we saw aurora photography out the window of an airplane today that somebody shot.
Cover that thing.
Or you're up in a skyscraper or your hotel and you want to take a good picture out the window. We're always fighting, you know, trying to figure out how to keep the glass from glaring. And so I was like, oh man, this would be perfect. I mean, it was rainy when we went through, what's it
Yeah,
called?
well, this even protect from the rain too,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah, we were going through the national park that was in Scotland. What is that thing called? It was just beautiful. Waterfalls coming down everywhere because it was raining. But the old people that we were with in the bus, they didn't want to stop. And so I'm trying to get all these pictures out the window of the bus because this is gorgeous. And I was smart and I thought, okay, I'm going to take something to clean the window of the bus. And all it did is it made it so it was more of a mirror. But you take this, and I wish we had something, you stick this on the wall and you hold it and then you can shoot just like, you know, hold that on there and you can shoot. It doesn't have to be totally sealed.
Yeah.
But that gives you the ability
kills
to
the
make it
reflection,
so there's no reflection.
Yeah.
And so I bought one for my wife, I bought one for myself, and I'm just going to keep this behind the ICU in my camera bag, and I'll always just have it sitting there. It's made out of silicone, works great.
Yeah, I mean the silicone base is going to last forever. I mean, this is like a 10-year
durable,
10-year investment. You know, for $25 you got something that could last 10 years. Go over your hoods, waterproof. I mean, you know, keep the water off the front of the lens too as a little umbrella.
Yep.
If you're out in the
and
in
I've
the wild.
seen some other ones that are made where it's almost like a little tent. I've seen where you'd stick some suction cups up on the window to try to do that.
Yeah.
I think this is just, I mean, it doesn't have to be flat against that.
Right.
I think this is going to be a
This is
lot
more basic,
quicker and
simple idea.
easier. You know, especially if you're in a moving vehicle and it's like you want to do the window on this side and you want to do the window on that side. You know, you could run back and forth in the bus or in your car and take the pictures like that.
Yeah.
Where you can't do that if you're sticking suction cups to the windows or whatever.
Right.
That might work in your hotel room when you're trying to take a picture of Times Square or something, but it's not going to work that way. But so I thought those would be fun. I have not used them yet. I haven't had an opportunity to do that.
You just got them today or yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, awesome.
So it's called the ULH, Ultimate Lens Hood. It's a company out of England. I think that they would be worth picking up one.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us for another edition of Gear Time with Drew and Brendon. Be sure to like and subscribe these videos if you guys want to get notified for our next live show. Hit the little notification bell after you subscribe, and that way you can get notified when we go live again. We usually go live every Thursday at 1 p.m., and so be sure to tune in.
Thanks.
Have a good week.
See you again.